to this moment. A climactic showdown between our scrappy group of teenagers and Winona Ryder versus one of the most dangerous and evil freaks the world has ever known, taking the form of the Mind Flayer, a 100-foot-tall beast with sprawling tentacle arms. They killed him. They just jumped inside and chopped him up. The final battle was so quick and easy and so early into the runtime of the episode that I thought surely the other shoe is about to drop. It's classic misdirection. You think you beat the boss, only to realize there's actually a second phase and you already set down your controller. But no, that was it. No Demogorgons to deal with, no Demodogs, Demobats, not even like a Democockroach? Nothing? A group of 16-year-olds with a spear and a flare gun took down Satan himself without even getting a scratch. Dustin has a bigger scar from getting punched by another teenager than any of these people do from fighting this. You know this saying about how if you want to boil a frog, you have to like slowly turn the temperature of the water up to keep him from jumping out? Kind of a weird way to describe that specific phenomenon, but almost exactly how I felt watching Stranger Things in this moment. I don't think it truly set in how far we strayed from where we started until the water was already 200 degrees and my little frog ass was getting boiled. But if you showed me this clip in 2016, right after I finished watching the first season, I would be like, what the fuck? I just finished watching this small town sci-fi mystery noir, and this looks like a scene from Avengers Endgame. And you'd be like, wait, how do you know what Avengers Endgame looks like? That's not coming out for another 3 years. And I'd be like, I don't know. The trajectory this show went on is baffling. The dialogue got dumbed down to appeal to a younger audience, even though, in theory, the audience should have just gotten older, because that's how time works. And for a series that was filled with so many cool elements of sci-fi and horror to all culminate in this ugly green screen action sequence where one character does a big jump is such a letdown. Because of how lackluster this all was, and because we were still like halfway through the episode, I thought, surely there's going to be something more. My anticipation slowly grew into disappointment as I realized the hour of runtime remaining was just a gratuitously long epilogue, filled to the brim with what this season did best. Characters in a circle talking about the things they're going to do.
Thank you.
After all this time, years of investment into the show, and the final word of legible dialogue is fart. No, this can't be right. I don't believe it.
What about all the clues?
The set pieces, they were the wrong color. The song at the end has only been used when something on the show isn't real. Steve wouldn't coach baseball, he was on the basketball team. And what about the clocks? And all of those weird Will lines where he would insist on being cold and he would get facts about his memories mixed up. He must be under Vecna's control. Maybe we're under Vecna's control.
And there's a secret 9th episode dropping tonight. If you type secret ending into Netflix, it takes you right to Stranger Things. The Morse code literally translates to, "You did not stop me."
The Duffer Brothers wear two very particular t-shirts.
Right after Steve falls, the screen goes black for 7 seconds.
Why did Netflix release a trailer?
Their graduation colors are orange.
And why are they selling a flashlight?
Did we just predict the biggest plot twist in television history?
That's right. This finale was fake. They made the whole season bad on purpose to get us to let our guard down. But the real 9th episode is coming out on January 7th. January 18th. Sorry, what I meant was during the Super Bowl halftime show.
His face goes dark at 8. Super Bowl halftime starts at 8 o'clock. We're gonna see the real ending.
So this is on Backlit, which is like a casting website. The ability to wear a costume that fully covers the body. My brain went right to Demogorgons.
You know, at first I watched that and I was like, does she think the only full body costume on Earth is Demogorgons? That there's not a single other character they could possibly be dressing up as? But then I went back and watched the show and I noticed something. Hidden in the background of just one frame for a mere moment is a Rocket Money logo. And that can only mean one thing. This video is sponsored by Rocket Money. As more and more one-time payments turn into never-ending subscription services, it's never been easier to lose track of where all your money is going. Today's sponsor, Rocket Money, is a super useful tool to help prevent that from happening. I've been using Rocket Money for like 3 years now, and in that time, they've helped me keep an eye on my budget, realize what subscription services I forgot I was even paying for, and they've even helped me cancel some of them. Instead of being hounded with follow-up questions to make you feel guilty about canceling something, just click a few buttons and let them do all the hard work for you. The great thing about this app is you can see your upcoming recurring charges before they happen. A lot of times you won't remember that you're still signed up for a subscription until you get the credit card notification that you've just been charged. You're like, shoot, yeah, I was supposed to cancel that. Oh well, I'll just do it next month. Oh my God, I did it again. But with Rocket Money, you can avoid that altogether by seeing when and exactly how much you're about to be charged for. And on top of that, they might even be able to lower some of your monthly bills. I pay less for internet now because I clicked a few buttons on this app and they were like, yeah, no problem, we'll take care of that for you, big guy. So if one of your New Year's resolutions was to get a better handle on your finances, downloading Rocket Money is a great place to start. You can go to rocketmoney.com/DrewGooden to get started for free. You can also scan the QR code on the screen or click the link down in the description and unlock even more features when you sign up for premium. Thank you to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video. Honestly, I have to hand it to some of these TikTok editors. These videos are so well put together. For about a day and a half, I was fully on board. I don't want it to seem like I'm making fun of these people because really they were just disappointed in a thing that they love and they were still in the early stages of denial about it. If you go back throughout the show, there's so many lines and visuals that seemed to be foreshadowing something. That's why people had such high expectations, not because they're delusional, but because they thought that all the time they spent paying close attention and analyzing every little detail would be rewarded at the end. But once the time passed and it became clear that episode 8 was in fact the true finale, all of these secret hints that everyone hyper-focused on turned back into what they always were. Bad writing and production errors. And all of that charged up excitement and anticipation turned into rage. Fuck the Duffer Brothers. These guys aren't playing 4D chess. They probably don't even know how to play checkers. It was so interesting to watch all of this unfold because at its core, Conformity Gate was not that different than a lot of other conspiracy theories, almost all of which are simply born out of dissatisfaction with a given answer. I'm probably paraphrasing that ContraPoints video here, but as human beings, we don't like randomness. We would rather ascribe intentionality to something than accept that the world we live in is just full of chaos. It's scary to think that a random person could assassinate a president, so there has to be more to the story. The show I've loved for half my life can't have a bad ending. There has to be more to the story. But sometimes there isn't. Will saying he misses drinking milkshakes at Melvald's even though they don't sell milkshakes is not some 200 IQ misdirect, it was just a writing mistake. The color of this dial changing from gray to red was not an Easter egg for the audience to pick up on, it was just a continuity error. Maybe they shot it one way and then decided that red would pop better on camera and assumed nobody would care enough to make a viral TikTok about it. Regardless, the obsessive nature of Conformity Gate and the collective anger that ensued when these admittedly cool fan theories turned out to be fake almost definitely would not have happened if the finale was just good. If this final episode wasn't so underwhelming, it wouldn't have given millions of fans the motivation to go digging for clues. So while I'm sure the Duffer Brothers never expected all of this to happen, it is still kind of their fault. And now they'd have to deal with the consequences. So then comes time for the press tour, where Matt and Ross would go from podcast to interview to television appearance, addressing everyone's burning questions with answers like, "We don't know. We never thought about it like that." And if that did happen, it happened off screen. Every day for about 3 weeks, I would wake up and see some new quote from the Duffer Brothers that had absolutely no substance. What is even the point of doing all these interviews if you're not going to say anything?
Oh, what happened to Robin and Vicky?
I don't, God, certain things are open to interpretation. I don't know.
I don't know.
I truly don't know.
I don't know what happened to them.
Ross and I know.
I don't know.
No, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. We just don't know.
And to be fair, not every question demands an answer. You should certainly be allowed to let your art speak for itself and leave some ambiguity in the things that you create. But some of these questions do raise some pretty good points. Like, I thought it was weird that after blowing up the portal to the Upside Down, the military seemed to just go away. Like, sure, they're not chasing 11 anymore, but the rest of the kids did, kill a bunch of them. So I think this is a perfectly fair question for an interviewer to ask. Here's Ross's answer. My guess is they just sort of left. Your guess? Brother, You wrote the show. Hey, what happened to Murray?
I don't know.
And why did Vecna need exactly 12 kids? No reason. And how come Will didn't feel anything while the Mind Flayer was getting killed? He just wanted to focus on the other guys. Even when they did give answers, there certainly doesn't seem to be a lot of confidence in them.
A lot of people want to know about who unlocked the door in season 1, episode 1, let the Demogorgon in, definitively. Say now?
Yeah, I mean that's Vecna using his psionic abilities through the demo.
Oh, okay, yeah. I guess that makes sense. Although Vecna didn't exist yet at the time. Sure, he canonically was alive during that scene, but when they were writing it, they hadn't come up with him yet. So what was the justification at the time? It kind of feels like you're just retconning a mistake you made and trying to act like it was the plan all along. Which, to be honest, is not that big of a deal. I'm not gonna grill them on every little inconsistency from season 1 to season 5, because at the time, they never expected the show to go on as long as it did. The only reason I'm annoyed about this is because they said it would be answered. Months ago, unprompted, they were like, in season 5, you're finally gonna know who opened that door. I was willing to move on from this. You're the one who brought it up. Is this what you meant, though? That question would finally be answered on a podcast? I guess I thought you meant you were gonna do it in the show.
Cut me some slack.
I think generally speaking, the reason why people are so bothered by these errors, even the minor ones, is that the Duffers have spent years telling everybody to pay attention to everything. There are no such thing as coincidences. These details that seem random might not be random at all. They're actually small pieces woven into this intricate fabric we're waiting to unveil. And then the show ended with the most cookie-cutter ending of all time. So what the hell were you talking about? Another disappointment with the overly simplistic final fight sequence is that all of these creatures that have terrorized these people the entire show, that we know live in this abyss, just completely disappeared when it came time to fight Henry. It feels like such a huge missed opportunity. So why weren't any of them there? Well, it's because Vecna wasn't ready. How was he supposed to know they were coming? It's not like he's some kind of mind reader. Oh wait, I guess he is. I'm sorry, the omnipotent, telepathic devil creature who can see into people's brains from anywhere in the world didn't know what they were up to. They spent half the season talking about their plans. You didn't want to pop into one of those meetings and take some notes? I'm pretty sure the only time he actually used this power was to figure out where Max was. She was in the hospital, Henry. He knows where she is now. I don't think you needed telepathy to find the girl in a coma. Where the hell else would she be? I remember liking a lot of what they did with Vecna in season 4, but by the end, this became such a stupid character. He's all powerful and all knowing, and yet he got tricked by a bunch of kids. He's bulletproof and indestructible until he merges with the giant monster. Then you just have to jump through his neck hole and hit him with an axe. I liked this show a lot better when the antagonist was more mysterious, when the threat was a demonic alternate dimension and not just the Grinch, but evil.
Yes. This does not bite me in the ass.
But as bad as all those interviews were, nothing made the Duffers seem more incompetent than the documentary that Netflix released about season 5.
Today's a very interesting day. We are shooting episode 8, which isn't completely written yet, so we don't even fully know what's going on.
We went into production without having a finished script for the finale.
Oh. Okay, well that makes sense. The reason everything seemed unplanned and rushed was because it was. It's so funny that they're like, man, a lot riding on this finale. We cannot fuck this up.
You see these shows that people love and the ending falters and they just discard the rest of the show.
You can't leave anything dangling. You have to wrap everything up.
And then they wasted all the time they had to write the script and had to rush it out after they started filming.
I never read a script. And we're just shooting it.
I mean, they know how it's gonna end. They just have to, write it down.
It's not like we don't know the ending. It's like it's all plotted. I just have to write it.
There are multiple crew members stressing out about the timeline that's been thrust upon them because Matt and Ross have procrastinated.
You have a script? No. We don't.
They have all these meetings to try to get some idea of what they need to do, but since none of it is set in stone yet, they might end up wasting a bunch of time.
Inevitably, it's going to change as we keep writing it.
All right.
I mean, just
We have
through
to
a
know
whole
exactly
new
what's
concept of
happening.
like what the floor is like. We're gonna get a script and it's gonna be like, oh, there's the other like 70% of business that we couldn't account for.
I feel like there's moments where you can even see the actors starting to lose faith in the show. Like Natalia asking if there's any scientific logic behind something.
It's all very realistic.
Or this clip of Maya giving the blankest stare while watching the footage they just shot. It's really funny to juxtapose some of the responses they've given in interviews with footage from this documentary. Like the answer about there being no Demogorgons in the final fight because Vecna, didn't think to ask for their help is only an attempt to justify the fact that they just didn't want to write about them anymore.
Yeah, I guess like I maybe wonder about demo fatigue at the...
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
That's such a funny thing to say because no, I'm pretty sure anyone who's stuck around this far into the show is not tired of seeing the creatures that have been in it since the beginning. That would be like spending the entire Star Wars trilogy building up to a fight between Luke and Darth Vader, and then right when you get to the end, you're like, wait, don't you think people are gonna be kind of bored of lightsabers at this point? And then Darth Vader turns into a spider. I love their response when one of the writers tries to point this out.
There have to be some monsters in the abyss.
I agree.
There has to be Demogorgon, bat, dog, like something. It's crazy if there's nothing there, I think.
Wrong. Okay, well, guess that's the end of that conversation.
I mean, the thing that's cool is the giant monster.
Of course, as with most behind-the-scenes documentaries, it is really cool to see how a show this big gets made. The amount of time and physical labor, the creativity from so many different departments, the extremely delicate balance required to maintain all of these moving parts, and in this instance, how these two doofuses fucked all that up.
And then I don't know what the fuck happens to him.
I found this quote from them in an LA Times article that I thought was pretty funny. They were talking about how they went into production of the finale without finishing the script, and obviously they're describing it like it's a good thing because they have to defend their process. But they say at the end, we're not sure if this is our fault, but Netflix won't let anyone do this anymore. They don't want to start filming before the script is done. Surely that has nothing to do with us, though. Now, look, generally speaking, I'm gonna take the side of a creative team over the studio that they work for. I think a lot of what these executives push can be antithetical to the process of making art. In almost every other situation, I would put more of the blame on the studio. But they're talking about how Netflix is breathing down their necks.
We were getting hammered constantly by production and by Netflix for episode 8.
And it's like, yeah, you had 2 years to write it, and you didn't.
It was the most difficult writing circumstances we've ever found ourselves in.
The only reason there's this much of a time pressure is because they wasted 80% of the time they were given. This isn't like a workplace comedy where you could leave a couple scenes open-ended because you're gonna leave room for your actors to improvise. This is the grand finale of a high-budget, narrative-driven sci-fi show. No matter what you write, there is so much production work that goes into it. There are giant sets to build, visual effects to bring to life, the quality of which will almost directly correlate with how much time the artists are given to create them. There are hundreds of people who work on this show, and none of them can do their job until you finish yours. And you've been dicking around for 2 years. I've seen a lot of people be like, why would the Duffers even put out this documentary when it makes them look so dumb? And an important thing to note here is that they're only credited in this for their appearance. They're not listed as editors or producers. I don't think they had any control over what was shown here. Obviously, the show itself is their creative vision, but it certainly seems like this documentary was done entirely by a separate crew who came in just to film some of the process. And who knows what their motive is behind this? Going forward, the Duffers are no longer a part of Netflix. They signed an exclusive deal with Paramount that's about to kick in, so Netflix really has no reason to be loyal to them. In fact, I'm sure they loved the idea of sabotaging them a little bit before they left to go work for one of their competitors. Watching this documentary through that lens, it really seems like they did everything they could to blame the issues of season 5 solely on Matt and Ross. Because really, there are so many things in here that make the Duffers look awful. One of the hardest to watch is this conversation where one of them is talking about how he hasn't had any time to work on the script because he has kids kids now. And he asks one of the other crew members if he has kids, and he's like, yeah.
I was working when they were young, and, you know, I mean...
That's never stopped me from doing my job, though. Dude, I don't think anybody should be forced to work 7 days a week. And that's awesome that you wanted to spend some extra time with your kids. But like, I can't stress this enough. You had 2 full years. I'm pretty sure there was room in there for some work-life balance. You know, I think the reason I'm so drawn to this, the common thread between the Duffer Brothers and some of the other people I've talked about on my channel in the past, is I think I'm just fascinated seeing someone get too successful for their own good and then end up way out of their depth because of it. Like, just because Jake Paul was good at making YouTube videos for 9-year-olds doesn't mean he should write a book. Just because Ninja was really good at Fortnite for a couple of years doesn't mean he should teach a masterclass about it.
My hair was blue.
And just because the Duffers are pretty good directors, which I do think that they are, doesn't mean they're great writers. They talked pretty openly about how that was never what they wanted to do.
Ross and I had no interest in writing at all.
That to them, writing was more of a means to an end, that they would only be given the opportunity to direct if they wrote their own project. And clearly they're good enough writers. They started this show with a really good idea, but I think it's clear that the difference between a good writer and a great writer is being able to finish what you started. It's a lot easier to throw out a bunch of ideas early on in a show than it is to tie them all together at the end. In early seasons, you can do almost anything. You can introduce whatever you want. It almost doesn't even need to make sense yet because you'll get the benefit of the doubt that it'll all get explained later. You can just keep kicking that can down the road, and that's all great. Until you get to the end and you're surrounded by all the cans you've kicked and you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with these? It's too late to come up with answers for all of them, so you just have to focus on the ones you think matter the most and hope to God nobody notices all the ones that you didn't. And unfortunately for Matt and Ross, this show was way too big for that to happen. A lot of these fans paid more attention to it than they did. They noticed so many mistakes that they convinced themselves that they were following the intentional breadcrumbs of a massive conspiracy theory. But watching this documentary only makes the idea that the Duffers are some super genius writing duo with this giant trick up their sleeve honestly kind of hilarious.
We wanted to get it right. It was the most important script of the season.
The thing that's cool is the giant monster.
That these guys were about to subvert the entire medium of television by releasing a secret alternate finale in a way that nobody else ever has? No. It was always going to be the safest ending imaginable. A finale meticulously engineered to ruffle as few feathers as possible. And ironically, by being so unambitious, they actually did make a lot of people upset. I think what the finale and the interviews and the documentary all made clear is that by the end, the Duffers just didn't really care that much about this show anymore. I think more than anything else, they were just ready for it to be over.
In 10 years, when we're talking, are we talking about more stories with these characters? If you're betting men, what do you say?
I mean, I hope not. We don't want to. I mean, we really don't.
I honestly understand the procrastination because I'm sure it was so overwhelming to sit down and try to write their way out of the corner that they had painted themselves into. When you realize, oh wait, people are gonna remember all the things I've been saying for the past 10 years? I don't even remember all that shit. I think they were so stressed that they were like, you know what? Let's just wrap this thing up, do a big fight, everyone will live happily ever after, and then we don't have to think about this show ever again. But unfortunately, in their rush to move on, they've kind of retroactively damaged the rest of the show. Turns out if you abandon a bunch of plot lines and butcher most of your characters, it leaves a pretty bitter taste in people's mouths. To this day, I've still never watched Game of Thrones because I know how much people hate the ending. No matter how good the rest of the show is supposed to be, it's hard for me to want to watch it when I know I'll just be bracing myself for what's waiting for me at the end. The Duffers said their worst fear was doing that to this show, so it's probably eating away at them to see how people are talking about it, especially since everybody is still judging them on the fake ending. How are you gonna say Conformity Gate isn't real when the evidence is literally right there? Episode 9, Super Bowl halftime show, stands full of Demogorgons, Bad Bunny turns into Vecna, Sam Darnold turns into Finn Wolfhard, and Stranger Things fans everywhere will finally get the ending we deserve. Also, 34-17 Seahawks. Thanks for watching.
Have you ever wanted to buy my cat?
Well, too bad.
You can't. She's not for sale. But for a limited time, you can purchase this ultra-realistic, perfectly proportioned, life-size replica of Bim Bim's tiny cat body. It's soft, it's cute, and you don't even have to feed it, unless you want to. But then it's gonna start pissing and shitting all over the place, and you're gonna have to clean it up. We also made this freak-ass hot dog figure that's trying to squish a tiny version of me. Why? Because I thought it would be funny. And I still think it is. You can order one or both or neither of these things at youtooz.com or by clicking the link in the description. Huh? What the hell, man? Don't sneak up on me like that. Sorry, I'm just a little on edge right now. Amanda and I just got done watching one of the most disturbing and viscerally unsettling movies I've seen in years. If you've watched anything in theaters lately, you're probably thinking, what, The Substance, Terrifier, Despicable Me 4? No, I love those little yellow freaks. And The Substance just made me hungry. The movie I'm talking about isn't in theaters right now. In fact, it never even was. It's called Timeless Love, and it was made by Hallmark Mystery, one of the subdivisions of Hallmark, like Family and Wines. Sorry, I know I'm already getting distracted, but did you know Hallmark made their own wines now? 'Cause I sure didn't.
Hey Hallmark fans, I'm Andrew Nelson, one of your winemakers behind Hallmark Channel Wines. These are real wines that we're crafting specific for Hallmark fans.
I like how right away they address the elephant in the room by insisting that it's real. 'Cause I agree, it doesn't look real. It looks like an April Fool's Day joke they forgot to take off their website. But they exist, and they made them specifically for Hallmark fans, which I think just means people who will buy anything if the branding on it is even vaguely Christmas. I ordered the wine before. I ordered Jingle and Joy. But according to the order number they gave, said no, only ordered Jingle. Was hoping for a discount, nothing, didn't offer anything. If it wasn't a gift, I wouldn't be ordering Joy. I do not recommend this product. I couldn't find you, went to Hallmark.com. You canceled my first wine order and I still don't see a refund. I just reordered a bigger order in hopes you make it right. Yeah, that'll show them, Ron. Just keep giving them more money. They'll learn their lesson eventually. We only have one wine tonight, ma'am. It's our specialty Hallmark sandwich.
Ooh, it's so good.
So the movie starts with what we soon find out is a dream sequence from the main character, Megan. It's a fantasy of hers that is so vivid, she wakes up from the coma she's in thinking it was real. She isn't married, she doesn't have kids, but she thinks she does because of her dream. And that's great and all, but my first takeaway was there's something about her husband that is a little distracting.
What's the other kind? Homemade?
I'm not gonna make it from scratch, kids. No, I only like it when you make it from scratch. Who makes cinnamon rolls?
Cinnabon. I want cinnamon rolls. Okay, but
We gotta drive to the mall.
What do you want me to make for lunches?
I wake up. What you make for lunches?
All right, what do you want for lunches today?
They're already worried about lunch. The day just started. Now, I understand if they're packing lunches for school, but one of the first things he says is, should we just take a lazy day today, implying it's Saturday? So why are you making lunch immediately if you're all gonna have a lazy day together?
Why are you so concerned about what your next meal?
You haven't even eaten your first meal and you're already worried about your second meal.
End of sentence.
I love this doctor. How could this happen? And he's like, honestly, anything can happen. Brains don't make any sense.
I expected her to be happy.
Instead, she's miserable.
I expected her to be happy.
She hasn't smiled once all day.
Yeah, you know, when you wake up from a coma, you're happy.
I'm awake. I get to go back to my job.
Honestly, from a medical standpoint, this is the best possible outcome.
The best possible outcome is she wakes up and thinks she has a husband.
The crash happened 2 months ago.
So she got T-boned and she doesn't have a scratch on her?
Medically, that's best case scenario.
Yeah.
But she's also funny because she's like annoyed when people question her. To them, she is making up this entire life. Imagine if you woke up from a coma and you were like, I had 2 wives and you had this, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. We go home and I'm like, do you remember this place? And you're like, yeah, I remember this place. I live here. It's like, okay, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where the line is.
So, how's it been?
What?
Being back.
What?
What are you talking about? I don't know, being awake for the first time this year.
So you totally think you were married?
Yeah.
It still sounds weird.
My job let me go because I was in a coma for too long.
Oh, get a new job.
No, he was like, wow, That sucks.
Okay, do you want to play that character? All right. I got in an accident so bad I fell asleep for 2 months and they fired me because of my coma.
Tough break. What was your job?
I worked at the toilet paper factory.
Get a new job.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll keep you focused on something else while giving you perspective you might not get if you keep trying to figure out what happened to you.
He's supposed to tell her what happened to her.
Yeah, let me know if you ever crack what's going on in your brain.
Yes?
Amanda? Bim Bim? Thomas? Edward? Patrick? Brady? Junior? What happened to my wife? My cat? My 5 handsome boys?
They never existed at all.
What do you mean, strange man?
You've been in a coma for 7 years. Don't you remember? You got hit in the head with a frisbee, knocked you right out. Doctor said you've got the weakest skull they've ever seen.
No, this can't be real.
Unfortunately, it is real. And it never would have happened if you had a VPN.
What?
A virtual private network.
No, I know what a VPN is. I just don't see how that would have helped this situation. Well, you said I got hit by a frisbee? Yeah. Aren't VPNs for like cybersecurity? Honestly, I don't really know, but I would love it if you'd explain it to me. Fine, maybe I will tell you about today's sponsor, NordVPN. It seems like everywhere I go online, people are trying to get their filthy hands on my precious data. And quite frankly, I'm tired of it. But what's great about NordVPN is not only the typical VPN features like data encryption and hiding your IP address on public Wi-Fi, but they also have something called Threat Protection Pro, which checks websites for viruses, scans files for malware, and even removes annoying ads from web pages. NordVPN also helps bridge the gap between you and the rest of the world by unlocking region-specific content. I'll give you an example. I was just on vacation in Italy with some friends and we wanted to rent the Lizzie McGuire movie from YouTube one night, but the audio would have been in Italian because that's the country that we were in. Well, I guess our night's ruined, right? Wrong. We just used NordVPN to change our virtual location back to the States, allowing us to sit back and enjoy one of cinema's crowning achievements. You flew all the way to Italy just to watch the Lizzie McGuire movie? No, that was just one night. Okay. We did other stuff too. We watched Ocean's 11. NordVPN also has a dark web monitor that will alert you if any of the data associated with your email address gets leaked online. Things like passwords and phone numbers, and it works 24/7. So if you've been wanting to get a VPN, but you were just waiting for the right deal to come along, you're in luck because you can get a huge discount off a 2-year plan plus 4 extra months by going to nordvpn.com/Gooden. That link is also in the description if you would rather just click on it instead of having to remember my last name. Thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video. Thank you, kind young man, for explaining all that to me. As your reward, I will return your life back to the way it was. Oh, there she is.
Thanks.
Yeah.
She's trying to explain the philosophy behind photos.
No, photos are from the past.
They're memories that we keep on our desks at work.
They're just more vivid versions of what we think in our head.
Got it.
Hey, Dad, did you get anything to eat?
Dad, snap out of it. Your wife died, what, 2 hours ago? Get over it. Everyone in this movie is so impatient with people going through stuff.
Really sorry for what you and your dad had to go through.
I know it's probably not my place, but I knew your mom was going to die. So if that helps you in any way.
You know, she was obsessed with him before she got in
that
the
would be an
coma.
interesting twist. This same movie, but the twist is she was stalking this guy for months ahead of time, and that's how she knows all this. But she just thinks it was this quirky little dream she had.
I want this to have a twist so bad. I want it to start off as a Hallmark and then turn into like
that Netflix show, Kevin Can Fuck Himself, that just like hard cuts into a completely different directing style. That would be so interesting.
I want that.
But no.
It's this.
It's this.
There should have been fireworks in the first day.
Fish all like explode.
I hope I live up to what you know about me.
That's so crazy.
That's so weird for him to just accept it.
I love a good romance. I can't get behind him just falling in love with her.
If I met someone and it like really hit it off for a couple months and then I find out they knew all this stuff about me, I would think they were a stalker.
Yes.
I would feel so weirded out. I would feel...
I bet a stalker wrote this movie.
Yeah.
This is a stalker's
No, it's not
fantasy.
stalking. I just had a dream where I learned all this stuff.
You know almost everything about me.
He likes it.
I think he's just so used to... A year later, they have a 5 and 6 year old. Why would they hang individual photos of each other and not? They don't have any together at this point.
I like it. I
Nice job, Mrs. Claiborne.
Also, he just called her Mrs. Claiborne, so they're married. It's been 1 year they're married already.
And they don't have any wedding photos to hang up?
No, no, they got married and they only have the one photo he took of her at their first photo shoot together. Stupid movie.
This is perfect.
And how can they afford this house?
She works for him.
He makes a little bit of money and gives some of it to her, and they pool that together to buy this beautiful house. Pretty good movies, but what they make that's really good is their wine. So be sure to check out Hallmark Sandwich Wine. Go to hallmark.com. You're not going to find it there, but you'll find it eventually. Hallmarkwines.com.
Sandwich.
A few months ago, to celebrate my friend's birthday, I went on a Victory Casino cruise, and not only did everyone get seasick almost immediately, but we also lost all the money we brought in to gamble with. It was one of the best days of my life. For a good portion of the past century, getting on a boat that reeks of piss and wobbling your way out just far enough into the ocean so that laws don't exist anymore was one of the only ways to legally gamble in the United States. It had such a convoluted barrier of entry that most people could go their entire lives without ever being tempted to do it. Just don't go to Nevada and you'll probably never see a casino. In 2024, this is no longer the case.
Only on FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Prize Picks,
Underdog,
Hard Rock Bet, Valley Bet, PointsBet, ESPN Bet, 365.
Smack me in the mouth with all of it.
If you watch any sports at all, ads for sports betting have become inescapable. Even if you muted every commercial and closed your eyes until the game came back on, it's still plastered everywhere. DraftKings promos pop up in the middle of a play, there's BetMGM billboards behind home plate, FanDuel logos on the court, on the microphones. They come at you from every angle, pepper spraying you in the face so you don't notice they just pulled your pants down. They've made it so watching sports and betting on sports are just two sides of the same coin, like you can't have one without the other. It's become so normalized that it might be easy to forget that gambling can be kind of bad, actually. About 10 million people in the US alone struggle with gambling in some way, a good portion of which are under the age of 25. Gambling addicts attempt suicide at a rate 15 times higher than the general population. The average debt of a gambling addict can range from $15,000 to $90,000. But where most people would see this as a problem, a few people saw it as an opportunity. All that extra money that could be siphoned from struggling families and into the pockets of like 12 CEOs. And we're not doing that because... So in 2018, the Supreme Court overruled the federal ban on sports betting. And since then, Americans have collectively lost over $245 billion on it. That's almost $1,000 per person, and that number was from last year. But the bombardment of playful advertising filled with famous celebrities would make you think it's just a harmless, fun game you can play on your phone. Kevin Hart, Post Malone, Chris Rock, LeBron James, Kevin Hart, Peyton Manning, Jamie Foxx, Eric Andre, Patton Oswalt, Vanessa Hudgens, the guy from that Kendrick Lamar song, Kevin Hart. Even the Talk Tua podcast is sponsored by Better. Why is it always the people you trust the most?
You don't need to know everything about every sport.
Good, because I don't.
Yeah, me either. All you need is a feeling and a phone.
Oh my gosh, I want
That is such a bold way to advertise your product. You don't have to know anything about sports in order to bet on them. In fact, we would prefer you didn't. Look, this guy's just chilling in a hot tub. He doesn't even know what sport he bet on and he won money. So go ahead, just open the app and start mashing buttons. I don't know, like where do you think they got all the money to shell out to these celebrities? Could it be that maybe Prize Picks isn't the secret gateway to riches beyond my wildest imaginations, and maybe they're just trying to get my debit card number so they can take all my disposable income? Whether or not you think sports betting should be illegal, and I'm not even necessarily saying it should be, the fact that they're allowed to advertise it like this is fucking insane. Imagine a cigarette commercial that was like, "Oh my god, this tastes so good. This is the best I've ever felt in my life. I'm on top of the world." Typically the only tobacco ads you see are like anti-vaping PSAs, and I hope there's a future where advertising for betting apps is regulated in a similar way. You can still bet on sports, you can still smoke cigarettes if you want to, it's not illegal, but you're not bombarded with the temptation to do it every time you turn on a basketball game. Even though it's only been 6 years since the federal ban on sportsbooks was overturned, technology has already evolved well beyond what was available at the time. And now that gambling has gone from being in a place you have to go to do it, to being accessible on your phone at any moment, there's nothing stopping these apps from trying to lure you in constantly, and they're really good at doing that.
Addiction is intensified, he says, by how much the gambling companies know about each user. That data was used to tailor offers and push notifications to keep the guy in action.
They knew the life stage, the customer life stage it was at, so win back, they described it. So people that have given up gambling for a while and they're trying to get them to come back.
Just by using these apps, you're giving them data about your gambling habits, which they can then weaponize against you. If they realize around 2 p.m. every Sunday is when you're most likely to interact with the app because you're watching 19 games at once and you're starting to get a little restless, they can tailor make a push notification just for you. Maybe they'll boost the odds of a third quarter Tyreek Hill touchdown, or they'll show you a parlay that 50,000 other people have bet on, and that many people can't all be wrong. Let's talk about parlays for a second, because I think that's one of the biggest contributors to the exponential rise of sports betting.
It's parlay time.
Put simply, a parlay is when you combine multiple bets into one bet, significantly decreasing the odds of it hitting, but massively boosting the payout you'll win if it does. It's basically the difference between winning a few dollars for correctly calling one coin flip, or winning thousands of dollars if you can get that coin to land on heads 12 times in a row. You're so distracted by the possibility of how much you could win that you're not even considering the fact that you definitely won't. Parlays are the lottery ticket of sports betting, and these apps have made it so easy to make one whenever you want. The only thing stopping you from putting together a parlay that frankly doesn't even make sense is your own imagination. Because of parlays, I think for a lot of people, gambling has become death by 1,000 paper cuts. Maybe instead of losing a lot of money all at once, you're just losing a little bit of money all the time. Sometimes you'll even lose money in a way that feels like you almost won. 5 out of 6, I was so close, but that means I'll definitely win next time. My only personal experience with online sports betting was a couple years ago when I saw Underdog Fantasy was offering to match your first deposit up to $100. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. I watch a lot of football. Maybe I can finally make back some of the money I've spent over the years supporting my stupid, shitty team. So I put in $100, they doubled it. And slowly over the course of the next 2 months, I lost $25 every week until it was all gone. Now, if I'm being honest, I think this was actually best case scenario for me. I consider myself lucky that the few times I've tried gambling, it hasn't gone well for me because I have no positive association with it. In the same way that I have no desire to smoke cigarettes because the first time I did, I smoked 2 back-to-back for some reason and was nauseous the rest of the night. I have no desire to gamble because I've only ever lost money doing it. So even though Underdog managed to get $100 out of me, I actually think they would have preferred if I won a little bit first. When betting apps give out these kind of introductory offers, it's not just so they can get a bunch of free money, although that's definitely part of it. They're trying to create a customer for life.
Bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. $5 get $200 back. $250 up to $500.
Up to $2,000.
Online sportsbooks know that the best way to get people addicted to their product is to make that first big win as easy as possible. So they'll lure you in with an offer that seems too good to be true because all of that is pennies compared to what they're raking in from the people who are hooked. They give you free money to start with. They'll let you try again if your first bet doesn't work. They'll let you throw in one leg of a parlay that has essentially a 100% chance of hitting. They are desperate to make sure you have a good time. They want every time you see that app icon on your phone to think about the rush you felt when you turned $5 into $100, so you keep chasing that feeling forever. I just managed to outsmart them by being so unbelievably bad at sports betting that I never even came close to winning. But because I was curious to see how much online sports gambling has evolved since I tried it a couple years ago, and because I would never leave a stone unturned in the pursuit of research, I decided for this video I should try it one more time. So I signed up for the only legal sports book in my home state of Florida, which I assume is named after famous internet sex symbol Hard Rock Nick.
Balls tugged on one by one.
Their introductory offer is that they'll give you another chance to bet if your first one doesn't win. On the surface, that almost sounds like free money, but it's not like you can bet once, lose, and then just take your money back. You still have to give them the money. You're probably just gonna lose twice for the price of one. But hey, check this out. I've already unlocked a 1x multiplier, which means for every dollar I earn, I walk away with $1. I spent the next 12 minutes hard at work concocting the smartest and most guaranteed parlays the world has ever seen. With all my bets placed, I could finally sit back, relax, and enjoy a stress-free Sunday afternoon.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Why did I bet on Sam Darnold? Why did I bet on Kirk Cousins? Why did I take the over on Curtis Martin rushing yards? He retired in 2007.
The next few hours felt like a roller coaster, but in spite of it all, I was determined to come out on top.
Guess who has 2 thumbs and just won $9.52? This guy.
My other thumb's holding the phone.
I was down, but now I'm
And since I only lost 5 other bets, I was just $61 from breaking even.
Now I know what you're thinking, Drew. How could you have possibly known the Bills were going to beat a team significantly worse than them? What are you, some kind of genius? No. I prefer savant. The truth is, none of this would have been possible without my good luck charm, Michael McCorkle Jones. You can look it up, that's his real name. Ever since I saw him hit the gritty at the Pro Bowl a few years ago, I knew I needed a metal poster of him to hang up on my wall. And thanks to today's sponsor, Displate, that's finally possible. Are you tired of waking up to your boring, empty walls? You try to hang up posters, but your hammer didn't come with instructions, so you don't know how to use it. Well, why don't you go ahead and throw that thing in the trash? Because you don't need one to hang up a display. Displates are high-quality metal posters that help you show off all your favorite interests, whether it's Elden Ring, Halo 3, or a Minion from the movie Minions. And the best part is you can hang them up in a matter of seconds without any tools and without putting any holes in your walls. Displate has over 2 million artworks to choose from, including tons of officially licensed designs from brands like Marvel, Star Wars, and Minions from the movie Minions. They've even got a product called Textra that brings your posters to life with tactile textures and 3D contours. Finally, a poster that's fun to touch. If you've been procrastinating your holiday shopping, there's never been a better time to snag a Displate. Not only are they great gifts for anyone in your life, but they're celebrating Black Friday with their biggest discount of the year. You can get up to 44% off your order by going to the link in the description, displate.com/DrewGooden, or by using my code Drew at checkout. Thank you so much to Displate for sponsoring today's video, which unfortunately will now continue. All right, so I've been using this app for a little over a week now, and even though I did win a few more bets, all I've really managed to do is turn my initial $100 into 0. It's all gone. I think they know they're on the verge of losing me for good because they're really ramping up the notifications. Most days I'm getting at least 1 every hour. They even offered me another second chance bet, this time up to $500. They are so confident based on everything I've shown them so far that it seems they're willing to give me any amount of money because it doesn't matter, I'm just going to lose it all anyway. Even in my very limited time using this app, I can already see the traps they're setting for me, and I am falling for them. For some reason, I've done multiple parlays that are contingent upon something happening at the beginning of a game. They offer a bunch of bets that are based on first quarter stats, and I realized firsthand why they do this. Because that one leg can cook your entire parlay immediately. But at that point, you've already committed to betting on this game, and there's so much more game to bet on. So you do. And before you know it, you're betting on Keyshawn George to make 5 threes? Why did I do that? I don't even know who that is. Why did I think Jake Paul was gonna knock out Mike Tyson? That fight was never ending in a knockout. They punched each other like 4 times. Obviously, they were just in it for the money, and I knew that going into it. I only did this bet because they boosted my odds, and they only boosted my odds because they knew it wasn't going to happen anyway. It's 2024. How am I still getting scammed by Jake Paul? And on the flip side, when I do win a bet, sometimes I'm not even that happy about it because I'm just like, I should have bet more. You start getting carried away doing the math. I turned $10 into $30, but I could have turned $100 into $300, $1,000 into $3,000. Oh my God. It's infinite money. And I think that's one of the most dangerous things about gambling is that sometimes it works. It's a hobby that technically could go well for you if you get very lucky and quit at the exact right time, which you won't, and the casinos are banking on the fact that you won't. Problem gamblers aren't just chasing a feeling, they're chasing this idea that maybe they'll win the lottery. A lot of gamblers can recognize that they have a problem, but see the problem as the way out of the problem.
I think the feeling at the time was if you can just get lucky here somewhere, then potentially there's a way of making this
all go away.
I suppose the flip side to that as well, Aaron, is it was enabling me to just gamble as much as I wanted as well.
If I just have one good day, I can win it all back. Yes, I've dug this huge hole for myself, but if I just keep digging, I might be able to find that diamond I've been desperately searching for. But the sad reality is, even if you find the diamond, you're just gonna feel so good doing it that you'll probably dive right back into the mines looking for another one.
The truth is, if I'd have had that big win, I would have just spent it anyway.
A lot of the higher-ups at these companies will refuse any responsibility for creating new gambling addicts over the past few years. They'll make the argument that they're just addicted to their phone, and our app just happens to be on it.
I don't believe that there is an addiction to mobile betting any more than there is an addiction to utilization of your phone for any other reason.
You don't think adding a layer of betting
makes the phone more addictive than just tooling around Instagram.
No. There is problem gambling. It is a real problem. Whether it's gotten bigger or it's just become more noticeable because sports betting is legal, I think is an unknown.
Really?
Hey, they'd be gambling anyway, whether it's on our app that sends 30 push notifications a day and is linked to their bank account, or only available in a state on the other side of the country, is totally irrelevant. And while there are obviously some people for whom that is true, you cannot deny the fact that making it so goddamn easy to bet anything at any time is leading to more people gambling who wouldn't have otherwise. You're dangling a piece of candy inches away from people's faces and then saying, hey, it's not our fault they grabbed it. They still would have grabbed it even if it was 2,000 miles away. Since this is all still relatively new in the US, maybe we'll see more legislation in the future to combat this avalanche. In some countries, they no longer allow celebrities to appear in sportsbook ads, or they've banned the ads from appearing during sporting events altogether. America is still in this Wild West infancy where all these apps are just scrambling to find a way onto your phone before regulations start kicking in. But maybe in the future? Nah, I'm gonna be honest. It's hard to imagine that happening. I think it's too late to put the toothpaste back in the tube. The leagues are making too much money off it already. Of course they want to shove betting apps down everyone's throats. It gives people more of a reason to watch the games, especially bad ones. While most people would turn off a 20-point blowout in the fourth quarter, you're still glued to the screen because you need CeeDee Lamb to get 12 more yards for your parlay to hit. They've figured out a way to make every moment matter, even if it doesn't.
You want to make every game interesting? Step one, open the BetMGM Sportsbook. You know what to do.
It's not just sports, though. It seems like these days you can gamble on absolutely anything. You can bet on celebrity breakups. You can bet on which White Lotus character will return in season 3. You can bet on the presidential election. And oh my God, so many people did. Hundreds of millions of dollars were tied up in political bets this year. And if that's not indicative of a nationwide gambling epidemic, I don't know what is. But I'll admit, I'm a little conflicted about this. Because on one hand, gamifying every aspect of our lives only gives more power to those with influence. It creates a financial incentive for spreading deliberate misinformation. It can make you question the motive behind everything you see and hear. But on the other hand, XQC lost $700,000 betting on the election, and that's really funny. If you don't know who XQC is, he's a streamer who, at least in every clip I've seen of him, seems to be speaking a language he invented and no one else can understand. He's also one of the many streamers who've massively increased their wealth over the past few years by taking sponsorships from offshore crypto-based online casinos, helping them and the website they stream it on explode in popularity. At almost any point of any day, you can go to the slots tab on kick.com and see someone who is zonked out of their mind, eyes bloodshot red, 12 hours into non-stop slot spins, desperately trying to win back all the money they've lost so far, oftentimes in a situation so dire that even the chat, with no personal stakes involved and only there for entertainment, is begging them to stop. But they can't. They're on autopilot. Every loss is money that needs to be won back, and every win is just more money to gamble with. I randomly opened this guy's stream one day and watched in real time as he won almost $100,000 and then say this.
95K, that's fucking huge. We're a tenth of the way back.
A tenth? This dude was down $1 million on Big Bass Bash? Now, to most people watching, it's pretty easy to say, hey man, you should probably quit while you're ahead. No, 100,000 isn't $1 million, but it's a lot more than zero. The problem is someone in this state of mind isn't capable of seeing it that way. He's not even in Thursday afternoon with the rest of us. He's still on the tail end of Wednesday night. So the rational part of his brain, too subdued to muster anything more than a mumble, asks his chat if he should end it there.
Should we up the bet or leave?
They all scream, of course you should, but it falls on deaf ears. He's yet to stop spamming spins for even a second. This man is no longer in control of his actions. He's a zombie, relegated to the passenger seat of his own mind as it careens towards the conclusion everyone watching knows is inevitable. But there's nothing he can do to stop the momentum.
I have to quit. At a certain point, I have to give up. At a certain point, I gotta give up. Oh my God. At a certain point, I gotta give up. Dude, that dog demolished the balance. Oh my god. That's crazy. Lost over $1 million today. There's nothing in there.
All he can do now is sit in the reality of what just happened.
What the fuck? Beautiful girl. Dude.
Come to terms with the fact that despite his and everyone else's better judgment, he got doghoused.
Doghouse is what did it. Dude, doghouse is what defeated me. I got doghouse. I got doghouse. I got a full doghouse. Full doghouse, dude. Full doghouse. Full fucking doghouse, dude. Dude. I got doghouse.
Did I just watch this guy ruin his life?
I don't know, actually. The thing is, it's hard to take streams like this at face value. There's a very well-documented history of streamers on Kick high-stakes gambling with money that was given to them by the website they're playing on. So not only are the stakes not high, but it's technically not even gambling. It's just promotion. The entire goal of these streams is just to make the people watching them think they too can go win life-changing money on asscoin.com. So maybe this is all bullshit. Maybe the only real thing about these streams are the holes he punched into the wall behind him. Maybe he'll miraculously be back in a couple days with a suspiciously large balance after seeming to lose everything. But clips like this are just the flip side of an online ecosystem currently doing everything it can to convince impressionable teenagers scrolling through TikTok and YouTube shorts that gambling is awesome, actually, and you gotta start doing it.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Bang, 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 bang.
That's a great feeling, man.
Now, some people have accused these websites of rigging the odds in favor of the streamers so it's easier for them to farm these clips, and as far as I'm aware, there's no proof of that. I think the misrepresentation of odds here is simply due to the fact that these websites can just keep depositing money into their accounts whenever they lose, giving them unlimited funds to play with.
Unless Rubet's gonna give me free money, I think that's like actually it. We really just need Howie to give us a ton of free money.
If you're given infinite money, you can just keep betting until you hit a jackpot. For them, there's no such thing as rock bottom, a philosophy that very much does not translate to real life. In real life, you can hit rock bottom, and when you do, there's no texting Howie to get yourself out of it. What's especially concerning about these kinds of streams is that while sports betting apps are at least targeting mostly grown men, the majority audience for a lot of these streamers are teenagers and young adults. People whose brains have not finished developing yet. People who would have a harder time distinguishing between entertainment and real life and have less of an ability to evaluate risk compared to people much older than them. It is statistically proven that people who are exposed to gambling at a young age are more likely to develop problems with it later in life. So maybe don't do this. Is that too much to ask?
Now, there are a few different types of gambling streamers. There are the ones like Aiden Ross, who have been very transparent about the fact that money is the only thing that matters to them, and there's no line they would be unwilling to cross in pursuit of it. Then there's streamers like Steve Will Do It, who admitted in an interview with CoffeeZilla that the only reason he started taking these sponsorships was because he used to have a gambling problem, and it was a way for him to continue to gamble without having to use his own money. In other words, he knows from personal experience the harm a gambling addiction can cause, but he has no problem promoting that to other people as long as it's not his money they're losing. But then there's also plenty of streamers that don't seem to think they're doing anything wrong. They put their head in the sand and make excuses because the money's too good for them to turn down. Take Nick Merckx, for example. Nick gets pretty defensive when people question the fact that he spends 1 week out of every month spinning slots on Kick.com. Oh yeah, man, sorry, forgot a bunch of children watch my streams. Like, dude, you've spent the past 6 years streaming Fortnite and Call of Duty. If you don't think the majority of your audience is young men, I don't know what to tell you. And don't even get me started on Drake. I know a large portion of his audience is underage because those are the people he's trying to fuck.
So while obviously these websites, who use decentralized currency and are based out of a small island country with laughably loose gambling restrictions in order to skirt federal regulations, are mostly to blame for the damage they've caused, these celebrities and streamers who've helped popularize them are very much complicit. When you build an audience online, whether you like it or not, there is a parasocial element to it. There are people in your fan base who look up to you and trust you, and every time you sell something to them, you are leveraging that parasocial relationship in order to financially benefit. And I'm not gonna act like I'm perfect. I sell merch, I have sponsors, I just did an ad read like 3 minutes ago. But my God, I feel like the bare minimum with the sponsorship is, does this product actively hurt the people that use it? Yes? Then I'm not gonna do that. I get that it can sting to turn down a lot of money, and if the numbers people have floated around are accurate, it is a stupid amount of money. But for some of these people who could already live 10 full lifetimes without ever having to worry about bills ever again, when is it enough? It's just crazy to me. It's like, thank you to everyone who supports what I do. You've given me my dream job, this life of luxury I'm so lucky to have. And in return, I give to you a crippling addiction. Sorry, I wanted to buy a house in Mexico.
We got another place because you can't do it in America. You have to go somewhere else. So we went somewhere else and we got another place.
Call me dramatic, but I'm a little concerned where this is all headed. People like to talk about iPad babies who are burning all their dopamine receptors before they even reach preschool. But what is a slot machine if not just a giant iPad? Scientifically engineered to be as mesmerizing as possible so you don't even realize what you're letting it take from you.
$1,000 in fast spins at $50 a spin. Look at that, $194,000 grand. That thing is due. Oh. Well, that's $1,000.
Gambling can be addictive enough on its own even before you add in all this social pressure. The transition from casual gambler to full-blown addict can happen so gradually, a lot of people don't even realize it's happened to them until it's too late. And when everyone around you, from celebrities in commercials to all your favorite streamers, are just making it seem like it's no big deal, it's fun, everybody does it, can you truly recognize the seriousness of what you're getting yourself into? I think all we can really do for the time being is try to fight back against the normalization of gambling. So what do you say we all get together and call a timeout? What's that? They already tried that for hate.
We need to stop it.
So let's take this moment
to change the momentum
and call a timeout
on hate.
Together.
Together.
And it's not working, even though they got shacked. Well, that's not good. That was kind of the only idea I had. Gambling is not new. For as long as there's been man, there's been the primal desire to bet it all on red. But what is new is the way technology has evolved to prey on these urges in the most efficient and targeted ways possible. Using AI to send push notifications at the precise moment they know they're most likely to be open. Using a constantly evolving algorithm to offer bets that are so time sensitive you have to commit to it before you even have a chance to think about it. These apps didn't invent gambling addiction, they've just made it more accessible. You combine all of that with a system in which most people aren't paid nearly enough money for the amount of work that they do and might see gambling as one of the only ways out of that situation, only to end up exacerbating their problems, and you end up with the unmitigated economic disaster we're in now. Forgive me for using the C word, but we've stumbled into this stage of capitalism where every dollar must be profited by any means necessary, and foregoing any chance to do so would simply be seen as a missed opportunity. Advertisements in between the game? Not enough. Now they're a part of the game. A mini fridge in the hotel that I can store my leftovers in? No, we should be filling every square inch of that thing with $12 Coke cans that'll automatically charge your credit card even if you're just moving one out of the way. A YouTube outro that's just a few seconds of peaceful music and no call to action? You wish, bozo. Please go listen to the song I made with my friend Sam. I wrote the guitar for it and I think it's pretty good. Thanks for watching.
These are my top 10 mistakes that slot machine players make. Number 1, the biggest mistake that slot players make is playing slot machines in the first place.
Exciting news, everyone. I put my cat on a shirt.
She has no idea she's on a shirt.
Get yours today at drewgoodenshop.com. Hey guys, welcome back to Watch Mojo's Top 10 Days of the Week. Number 4. Thursday. I love horror movies. I think it's such a fun genre. The experience you have while watching one is so much different than just about any other type of movie. It's funny to look back on all the stress I felt over the years while watching horror movies because, objectively speaking, I wasn't in a stressful situation. I was just sitting on my couch, scared because of something on the TV. Okay, turn it off. Close your eyes, dude. There's no danger here. Idiot. Some of my all-time favorite movies are horror movies, but also some of my all-time least favorites. Let me tell you about the 2021 Netflix original, There's Someone Inside Your House. There are a lot of things that I hate about this film, but perhaps nothing more so than the title being a complete lie. No, there's not someone inside your house. This movie barely takes place inside of one. You can't just come up with a cool title for a movie and then write a script that has nothing to do with it. I mean, apparently you can because that's what they did, but I don't think you should be allowed to do that. I think they should be in jail. The opening scene was actually pretty good, and from what I can tell, what they named the entire movie after. It opens on a static shot of what seems to be the only house for miles. Truck pulls into frame, guy starts an egg timer, takes a little nap, and when he wakes up, his phone is gone and it's been replaced by the timer. Who put that there? So he goes downstairs where he sees that the front door is wide open. Oh shit, his car's gone? Don't like that. If I didn't know any better, I'd say there's someone inside his house. Anyway, he dies pretty hard and then they play the opening credits. At this point though, I'm invested. Like, this was a creepy and well-directed opening that set the stage for what should have been a much better movie. The synopsis is that there's a secret killer who's also sort of a secret killer in that he kills people who have secrets. The first guy's secret is that he violently assaulted someone else on the football team, almost beat the guy to death. The second person who gets killed is the popular girl who tries very hard to seem open-minded in public but has a secret white supremacist podcast. Got it. So we're killing people who are doing something harmful to others in private. That's the theme here. Until the third murder, which isn't that at all. One of the only likable characters thus far gets murdered because he has a pill addiction. Okay, send him to rehab then. Addiction doesn't inherently make you a bad person, especially if you're not hurting other people while you do it. Why is he getting murdered over his own personal struggle? Also, this happens at a party where everyone else is underage drinking and smoking. Is that not held to the same standard? Kinda seems like everybody's intoxicated here. But unfortunately, the movie continues. There's now a fourth victim whose secret is, get this, he's gay. So now I'm really confused about the politics of this murder. So you hate Big Pharma, you hate racism, and you also hate gay people. Which side are you on, man? Also, the guy he stabs in this scene was the one who got his ass kicked by the first guy. So you kill one person for doing a hate crime, and then you commit a worse hate crime? Who the fuck wrote this movie? It's around this point where we learn that the main character, Makani, also has a secret past of her own. She was involved in some kind of hazing incident where she drunkenly pushed another student into a bonfire that almost killed her. So now we would be worried about her if this movie gave us any reason to give a shit. But I certainly don't care. She miraculously survives, tells her friends about her secret, and now there's time for one last confrontation. And if I wasn't mad at this movie already, this scene would be the thing to put me over the edge. So they go to a cornfield maze that's on fire and drive a car through the fire, which I don't think is something you can do, but this movie's making me doubt any scientific knowledge I've ever had, so who's to say? What really made me mad though is how stupid this movie thinks we are by foregoing any chance they had at subtlety. We know that the main character has trauma associated with big fires. That's the thing we just learned. So if you're going for symbolism here, just show her face and show the fire and we'll piece together that, oh my God, you're doing a flashback. You're doing a flashback to the scene you just showed 6 minutes ago? Is this movie made for toddlers? I would hope not, because there's a bunch of murders in it. Anyway, turns out it was the angry rich kid this whole time. Who could have seen that coming? I mean, he's probably the only character who could afford to keep 3D printing photorealistic masks of all the victims' faces, but I guess we weren't supposed to think about that until now. Watching this movie for the second time now definitely ruined my day, but I'm not gonna let it ruin my month. Surely there's worse movies out there that could do that. So I had to do a local record store that turned out to have a fantastic selection of horror DVDs and also the 40-Year-Old Virgin, which sounded a little too scary for me. This was the exact mix of classic horror films and straight to DVD garbage that I was looking for. I found some absolute gems here, and I could not wait to take them home and force my wife to watch them with me. First up, we've got the 1999 thriller Bats. I love that this movie wastes no time getting to the bats. Wheel lines out before being absolutely ripped to shreds. Then we cut to a cave in Arizona. Guess what? More bats. I could honestly cry. I've never seen a movie so faithful to its title. We're introduced to two of the main characters in this movie, Dr. Sheila Cat. Oh no, Jimmy doesn't like bats. Something tells me this is gonna be a really rough day for him. Unfortunately, whatever their mission here is gets cut short when a helicopter lands and a guy named Toby comes out and tells him he needs their help.
I'm Dr. Toby Hahn. We need your help. Immediately.
I have to say, this is the perfect name for someone with that haircut. If you go to your barber and ask them for the Toby, you're gonna walk out of there looking like this. Yeah, I'm starting to think this movie might have some bats in it. So Sheila the Bat Doctor gets called in to examine the very dead body of the guy killed in the opening scene, where she notices a fang.
This is impossible. These bats only feed on fruit and nectar, one that has absolutely nothing to do with bats.
Wait a second, are you saying some kind of bat did this?
I love how many of the scenes early on are just someone being like, I think a bat did this, and someone else being like, bats? Yeah, now that you mention it, I would kind of like to know what's going on with all these murderous bats. I wasn't interested until this moment. Although everyone's kind of an idiot in this movie, so it's just par for the course.
So you're saying that the bats can only infect other bats? Now that's bullshit.
I'll give them a little bit of credit. There are some scenes that are actually pretty scary. I mean, in general, the idea of, being chased by a giant swarm of flying animals trying to kill you is not the worst concept for a horror movie. It just gets a little silly when they start doing some of the close-ups of the bat puppets.
What'd I tell you? Ugly.
This one they just threw into a cage and shook it around. Apparently the bats aren't just hungry for human blood, they're also smart too. Absolutely hilarious. This is what filmmaking is all about. Oh no, now they're attacking the whole town. Or actually just flying above it, I guess. They attack a couple people, but for the most part, they're just out there making noise. Absolutely no danger. There's actually multiple people in this scene. It's the kind of intelligence only a bat doctor can have. I like when this cop tries to de-escalate. Bat with a T. Tried to tell you. I also like when all the cars just start exploding. What, do the bats have grenades now? Sad news, everyone. Toby died. I guess he was the only reason the bats were in this town in the first place, because they immediately flew away after killing him. Oh, yeah. I bet she's talking about all the bats. Anyway, they turn on the giant refrigerator and manage to outrun all the bats through a cave and up a ladder and down a corridor and up an elevator shaft and out the entrance, all with about a 50-foot head start. Geez, maybe instead of becoming bat scientists, they should have competed in the Olympics, because that's the best ending I've ever seen. Actually, that is kind of funny. I was so convinced they were gonna do that thing that bad movies do where they hint at a sequel at the end, just in case, but no. They knew. I think they knew bats would be one and done. As great as that movie was, I'm just glad I can finally watch the behind-the-scenes featurette and learn how Bob Gunton feels about bats.
They're so ugly. They're nasty looking.
He doesn't like them. I think the 4 out of 10 this movie has on IMDb is just about spot on. But the thing about a 4 out of 10 movie is that it can still get worse. So our journey continues. Up next, we've got Dream Home, and somehow this is actually a pretty substantial step down from Bats. I want you to take a second to really admire the graphic design on this cover. You've got this ancient-looking Victorian house, a ghostly silhouette peering down from the second-story window, a child looking up in fear, the words murder and kill scratched onto the blank part of the DVD cover. None of this is in the movie. Nothing at all. Look at this house, and then look at the house they actually use. Not even close. Right away, I'm getting the vibe that the main goal of this production was to pad the runtime just enough that this can legally be called a movie. During the opening credits, one of the shots they use is of a ghost slowly moving across a gazebo, and it goes on for 39 seconds. Every scene in this movie ends with a fade to black that lasts way too long.
I want that house.
Is it over? But none of the transitions can hold a candle to this one. Listen closely.
Look at the house.
What? Wow, so much is being conveyed in that scene. She wants the house, but he can't even see the house because he's driving. It's heartbreaking.
Leave me alone.
They do such a good job of subtly hinting at her interest in the house.
That house is beautiful and I love it. I want that house. I fell in love with the house. I want it.
I know you really want this house.
Baby, I want that house.
You really want this house, don't you?
Baby, I need this house.
Nothing that should concern you.
Oh, okay. Well, then I won't worry about it. You want to go ahead and buy the house? Yeah, that's a good idea.
Look at this place. This place has got to be at least 80 years old. This place is incredible, Darren.
Wow, look at how dusty and decrepit everything is. It's perfect. This is where the first and possibly only scary moment of the movie happens. What the fuck is happening here? Weirdly, this actually almost works as a creative choice just because of how surreal and unsettling it is. Now, I thought that Faye saw all this as she picked it up, but I would assume that's not the case because if she did, I don't know why the hell she would then put it on. General word of advice to anyone in a horror movie. If you find an old piece of jewelry with a mysterious past, don't wear it. It never ends well. You're gonna take on some sort of curse. While this is happening, Darren heads down to the hardware store to pick up some paint, and he gets to witness one of the greatest line deliveries I've ever heard.
When I first moved, and they warned me not to go there. I don't think we ever see anybody living there again, considering what happened.
Wow, that's gotta be pretty scary to hear two strangers talking about how haunted your house is. Let's capitalize on this momentum by showing a silent credit hell all this food came from, because that is not what they were cooking. It kind of looks like the crew didn't have any actual food to prepare in this scene, so they just had her boil a little pot of water and a big pot of water, which she stirs and stirs until it turns into this giant meal. Movies are awesome. After dinner, April politely asks for a tour.
I'm ready for my tour now.
I love how much of the writing in this movie is either that's good or that's bad.
You just don't know how bad that makes me feel. I really don't have a good feeling about it. It's just that I get this bad vibe when I see it. It's like the thing is tied to something really bad. I just get this bad feeling about that cross.
Also, everyone keeps describing the house as beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful house.
They can't get enough of this beautiful home, even though something happened there. But no one will outright say what happened there. They just keep beating around the bush. It's kind of frustrating.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll find out soon enough.
I watched this scene 3 times and I still have no idea what the fuck she's talking about.
Tell her that sometimes our dreams aren't what they seem to be. Sometimes it's our mind's way of telling us
Where? Can you slow down?
or things that have happened in the past, or things that are going to happen.
I'm not even gonna try. The most accurate thing about this entire movie is that he actually does have trouble remembering her long and convoluted mess. But finally, after explaining nothing the entire movie, with 3 minutes left, we finally learn what happened to the house. And I can't even pay attention to it because I'm so distracted by how they chose to film it.
When her mother woke up, she went to Juliana's room. They say you can still see the father walking around the house sometimes. As he walked closer to Juliana's bed, when the townspeople found out about this insane man, nothing. They say you can still see the mother.
And the mom was evil too. And the dad was evil too. I'm gonna be honest, I still don't know what happened in this movie. The best thing about Dream Home, besides how good it is getting to read the reviews from like 15 years ago from all the people who are so angry that they paid money to rent this from Blockbuster.
This was the absolute worst movie I have ever seen. I cannot even begin to explain the way I felt when this was over. I was ripped off. The front of the box looks really interesting. The kid on the bike. Oh yeah, why would he have anything to do with this movie? Duh. There's not even one child in this movie. If there were a way to recall movies, this film should be put in a fire. Take my advice, don't rent this movie, buy this movie, or even watch it on cable. I'm sure you can find better things to do for an hour and a half, like ripping your toenails off one by one.
Damn, seems like everybody hated this movie. But 2 out of 10? It can still get worse. And that's where the Curse of the Zodiac comes in. This may just be it. I think this is the worst horror movie ever made. Now, this movie came out in 2007, the same year as the David Fincher Zodiac movie. So I'm pretty sure this only exists to confuse the then patrons of video rental stores. Honey, this is that new Jake Gyllenhaal movie, right? Probably. It's not like we can Google it. We only have internet at home. But even still, this has no business being as terrible as it is. This is barely even a movie. It's directed almost like a music video, but one that's 80 minutes long and has no songs in it. So much of it is just these constant flashing cuts, and every shot is so overly stylized that I don't even know what I'm looking at half the time. They made some truly baffling editing choices. Like, what is even the point of doing something like this?
Randy! Where the hell have you been? I've been looking for you all night.
If I had to guess, I would say that all of this was a conscious effort to distract us from the fact that this movie has no script.
Oh, and by the way, speaking of the couch, you can have the couch.
Yeah.
A stupid pink couch in an orange colored room does not work anymore.
I refuse to believe that the actors are not improvising every line on the spot.
Crazy ain't cool. And it's, you know, normally I'd have fun, you know, hanging out with someone and dating someone that's a little crazy. But this is getting ridiculous.
They're constantly talking over each other or trailing off.
He's trying to, I don't know, he's trying to make us think, I guess.
As far as the plot goes, it is loosely based on the world-famous Zodiac Killer, but it's sort of like the movie someone would make about the Zodiac Killer if they knew nothing about the Zodiac Killer. Like, okay, he's leaving some clues behind, and there's some symbols involved, but also he shows up in this girl's dreams and keeps calling this detective and saying the same 4 lines over and over again.
In my book, 2 + 2 is 3. Maybe you want to meet in the middle, fat fuck. Make it a 4, fat fuck. Your black eyes, pretty girl. Your black hair, pretty girl.
Half the movie is just him yapping about nothing.
The Sandman, a.k.a. Z-Man, a.k.a. Zodiac. My name is Zodiac. Z-O-D.
Although I do like the way he says San Francisco.
I'm sticking around in San Francisco.
I would say my least favorite character is the world's most useless detective. He makes 0 progress from start to finish and is just confused the entire time.
I'm confused.
They could not have come up with a less interesting character. On the flip side, my favorite character is definitely this piano-playing murder victim who made such a bizarre choice on how he would talk.
Do you enjoy the piano? Yeah. Me too.
You can see him trying not to laugh here.
Whoops. I made a mistake when I was playing.
Honestly, I really don't want to spend that much more time thinking about this movie. It made me feel gross the entire time. It actually made me miss the production value of Dream Home, a movie that had the boom mic in frame most of the time. So this movie was written and directed by Uli Lommel, whose name I'm probably mispronouncing, but let me tell you about this legend. This man acted in over 90 movies. He wrote and directed over 60. And look at this unprecedented run he went on from 2003 to 2012. The sheer consistency with which he was putting out 1s and 2s, you may never see something like this again. I don't know if we'll ever see anyone match this kind of legacy. This is about as badass as it gets. To be so confident in who you are that you can say, yeah, maybe I don't have a story worth telling here, but I'm not gonna let that stop me from making 100 movies. Maybe next year I'll do a deep dive on his entire filmography, but for now, I need a break. This was rough. Well, I hope you all enjoyed watching me suffer through this as much as I hated every minute of it. But if you can believe it, even after watching all of that, you're only now getting to the scariest part of the video. An advertisement.
It's 3 p.m. You haven't eaten in 7 hours and it just hit you. You have no plan for lunch and now you're so hungry you're not thinking straight. So you open up a food delivery app where you spend $47 on 2 tacos that take so long to get to you that by the time they do, they're cold and mushy. You think to yourself, there has to be a better way.
There is. Stop stressing about where you're gonna get a last-minute lunch that doesn't make you feel awful and start using today's sponsor, Factor. For me, there's no better feeling when lunchtime rolls around and I remember that I have one of these meals in my fridge. They take less than 2 minutes to microwave and then you're done. You can just eat it. You don't have to cook anything, you don't have to go anywhere, there's nothing to prep before and nothing to clean up after, unless you put it on a plate for some reason like I did. I don't know why I did that. Amanda and I have had dozens of Factor meals at this point and we've yet to try one that doesn't taste great. But on top of that, they also make us feel a lot better than fast food or takeout does. You can pick your meals on the app and see the exact nutritional information every time. You can opt for calorie smart meals. You can opt for meals that have over 30 grams of protein, which is great for jacked guys like me. I'm not even struggling. For me, these meals are perfect for lunch because they keep me full and energized for hours. Time is the single most valuable commodity and Factor helps me save a bunch of it so I can get back to doing the things I love. Editing my stupid YouTube videos. If you want to try out Factor for yourself and get delicious, fresh meals delivered straight to your door, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use my promo code DREW50 for 50% off your first box. Again, that's code DREW50 for 50% off your first Factor box when you click the link in the description to sign up. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video and also for giving me food.
Thank you again for watching me watch 4 terrible horror movies. It means a lot to me that you make it this far into the video. Either you really like hearing me talk, or I'm so boring that you fell asleep 20 minutes ago. Either way, still counts as a view. But unfortunately, YouTube did just add a rule that if you make it all the way to the end of a video that's posted on or before Halloween, you have to give the person who posted it all of your Halloween candy. So, guess I gotta get me a P.O. box. Bye-bye, happy Halloween. Hate YouTube.
I know. I am too old to be getting this worked up over a Netflix remake of a cartoon that came out when I was 11. But this is not just any cartoon. It's not like they're rebooting Jimmy Neutron and I'm pissed off about it.
Avatar is a nearly perfect series. It's one I enjoyed a lot when I saw it as a kid, but rediscovering it as an adult actually blew my mind. It's a show that moved me to tears multiple times. It's something that the creators clearly put so much thought and care into getting every detail right, from the world building to the music. Now, for a long time, I thought it would be impossible to translate this world into live action, partly because of how intricate and beautiful the animation is, and partly because the last time they tried to do it, it was a fucking disaster. I've seen way too many people say in regards to the Netflix adaptation, hey, at least it's better than the movie. Yeah, I would hope it's better than one of the worst films ever made. You don't get points for that. Because of how goofy and awkward this movie looked, I assumed it just couldn't be done. That this world was simply unadaptable to live action. And in a lot of ways, Netflix proved me wrong. This show looks probably as good as a live-action Avatar could. I mean, nothing will ever truly compare to vibrant and fluid 2D animation, but the VFX team that worked on this did a really good job of making something that very easily could have looked dumb as shit look pretty realistic. Except for the airbending, I don't know what happened there. Yeah, a lot of the scenes are directed a little jarringly, and it's way too dark sometimes, but with what they were tasked with bringing to life here, I think they deserve a lot of credit. But it's funny to me that Netflix nailed the part that I thought couldn't be done well and messed up all of the stuff that should have been a slam dunk. Let's start with the pilot, because I started writing this video 10 minutes into the first episode. The pilot condenses the first 3 episodes of the animated series into one premiere, which on paper works really well. The end of episode 3 really is where the prologue ends. We've established the world, we've introduced the characters and a little bit of their backstories, and they're literally flying away from their past as they venture forth onto their journey. And while the very beginning of the show doesn't quite reach the heights that it eventually will, I think this is all paced really well and does a good job of doling out enough information to explain what's going on while still having the restraint to hold on to some things that can be revealed when the time is right. We open on 2 of the 3 main characters, Sokka and Katara. We learn that they're siblings who live in the Southern Water Tribe. Katara is a waterbender, Sokka is not. He belittles her ability, they bicker for a bit, it escalates, and then Katara waterbends so hard that a 12-year-old bald kid falls out of an iceberg. Wait, that's not just any bald kid, that's the Avatar. No one's seen him in 100 years, what the hell? No time to stop and explain everything though, because they have inadvertently alerted a nearby Fire Nation ship of their presence. This is Prince Zuko and his uncle Iroh. They've been banished from their home and sent on a now 3-year quest to find the Avatar, a quest that may just be about to end. Some chaos ensues, a fight breaks out, but ultimately with the help of his new friends, Aang is able to escape Zuko, and the three of them fly into the sunset. Now that brings us to episode 3, and there is still a crucial piece of information that the showrunners have not yet revealed to Aang because they're waiting until the right moment. The gang heads to the air temple that Aang grew up in, a place where Sokka and Katara know is probably filled with dead airbenders, but they don't have the heart to break it to him. He's so cheerful and excited to just show them where he used to play with his friends. How do we tell this kid that everyone he knew and loved was murdered by the Fire Nation? Instead, they try to cheer him up and keep him distracted. We see a flashback of Aang's former life. He's talking to his friend and mentor Gyatso, someone who we can tell he clearly cared a lot about. Aang talks about how overwhelmed he is at the thought of being the Avatar, and Gyatso assures him that everything will be alright. We cut back, they keep exploring for a bit, they find Momo, a little pet to go with their big pet. Things are going great, until... oh shit.
Firebenders? They were here? Gyatso.
Oh, man. Come on, Aang. Everything will be alright. Let's get out of here.
This is a really important scene for the beginning of a Nickelodeon show that up until this point has been pretty lighthearted. Seeing your main character, who's just a kid, find out about the death of his entire people and then freak out and have to be calmed down by his friends. It's a really powerful moment that can only happen because the writers held on to this reveal until the time was right to reveal it. So now let's talk about how Netflix handled the pilot. Instead of starting the show on our main characters, we open on an epic chase. This is streaming, baby. We gotta put a fight scene within the first 10 seconds or people are gonna turn it off and go watch Love is Blind. If you don't brutally murder someone right now, I'm taking my ass to Freevee. But you know what? I'm fine with this cold open. I understand you're just trying to grab people's attention, and a quick little action sequence that shows how ruthless the Fire Nation can be is not the worst way to do it. But it should have ended here. You say this line.
This isn't about the Airbenders. This is about one who lives among them.
But the Avatar is yet to be revealed.
Which is why we have to kill them all.
And then we cut to present day to the three main characters, similar to how the cartoon did. I actually think that would have been a really effective opening, because if you've never seen the show and you just watch the Fire Lord say, we gotta kill all the airbenders, and then you cut 100 years into the future and you see an airbender that survived, you'd probably be like, how did that happen? I'm gonna stick around to find out. Instead, we come back from the title sequence and we're still in the past on the day of the aforementioned invasion. I guess we're just gonna do the whole show chronologically, lest anyone be confused. We meet Aang and Gyatso and see them stand and talk for a while, and then we get to watch some people sit and talk for a while, and we cut back to Aang and Gyatso, and they do more standing and more talking, and then Aang flies away, and a whole bunch of murder happens. Oh my god, so much murder. I'm talking several uninterrupted minutes of murder, because remember, this is a show for grown-ups. Cartoons are for babies. We got a bunch of dead bodies in this one. What's crazy to me about this entire sequence is that while they're so insistent on showing something that I honestly think had more emotional impact to just see the aftermath of, they make no attempt to show us any aspects of Aang's personality. I mean, don't get me wrong, the writers take the time to explain Aang's personality to us. He and Gyatso tell us all about him.
I know who I am. I like to play airball and eat banana cakes and goof off with my friends. That's who I am.
I feel bad for this kid because he seems like a very good actor, but the writers keep giving him lines that make it sound like he's about to burst into song.
Monks don't even trust me to feed the baby bison, and I'm supposed to save the world?
Why can't I just be a kid? But this isn't even the worst example of tell, don't show that they do in this episode. Remember I told you about how Aang finds out that all the airbenders are dead, how he stumbles upon the corpse of his former best friend, surrounded by all of the firebenders it took to take him down? Here's how they do it in this show.
Most of them had just arrived for the Great Comet Festival.
The Great Comet Festival. The last time that the Great Comet was seen in the sky was 100 years ago.
Someone just tells him about it.
Everyone in the village knows this story, but you don't. Just as you don't know that airbenders haven't been seen in generations, and that the Southern Air Temple was the first to fall because you've been trapped in that ice this whole time.
Gran reads out loud the entire opening theme for like 2 straight minutes while he has to just sit there and give reaction faces before running out of the room crying. And he's sad for like 10 seconds and then everything is fine. No time to mope, buddy. You gotta do another walk and talk. This is infuriatingly bad writing. You took one of Aang's most impactful moments from the beginning of the show and turned it into someone else's monologue. It's so weird to me when shows are clearly in a rush to establish as much information as possible, I guess because they think people will get confused and turn it off if they don't have their hand held through every interaction. But it feels counterintuitive. I think what gets people to continue watching something is mystery. You don't need to answer every question I have within seconds of me having it. You can reveal information in small doses and slowly add to it piece by piece. That's what's going to compel me to keep watching something, not paragraphs of expository dialogue whenever you feel like you've got some lore blanks to fill. It's also weird to me that they still try to recreate the air temple moment in this episode, even though it's not new information for Aang. He goes and sees dead Gyatso, who was evidently much easier to kill this time around, and still goes bananas and still has to be calmed down, but it doesn't really make sense because he already knows about this.
All my friends, they're all gone.
It actually feels like kind of an overreaction considering he barely gave a shit about it earlier. Also in the original, Katara is the one to calm Aang down while he's in this state. She tells him that she knows what it's like to lose someone you love, but the world needs him and they're here to help no matter what. It's a great moment for the three of them because it gives closure to Aang's past while bridging the gap into this present journey they're about to go on. In this version, Katara just watches while we see a bunch of flashbacks from earlier in the episode, in case you were looking at your phone during that part.
You are my friend.
I really don't understand the obsession with Gyatso in this version. He is an important character, but more so as a memory for Aang, like a symbol of what he lost. He's not that relevant to the present day journey they're about to go on. What matters the most is their relationship. Their friendship is the foundation that this entire series is built on. So I think you're doing a huge disservice to that by taking interactions away from Katara and Sokka so you can give them to a guy who died 100 years ago. They do this multiple times in the show. They keep bringing Gyatso back instead of giving that valuable screen time to the more important characters. They even do this in the opening title scroll in the pilot episode. In the original, Katara is the one who does this voiceover, which kind of establishes the show as being from her point of view. And the very iconic lines she says at the end,
"But I believe Aang can save the world,"
actually tell us something about her. They tell us that she's optimistic and believes in her friends no matter what. So they actually managed to add characterization into a sequence that is at its core exposition. It's a very efficient use of dialogue. In the remake, they take this away from Katara so they can, again, give it to a character who died 100 years ago. And that's not even mentioning the fact that everything that's said in this version of the title sequence gets repeated multiple times throughout the episode. It's a very inefficient use of dialogue.
The Avatar, the one person with the ability to master all 4 elements. The Avatar, the next master of all 4 elements.
Only the Avatar, the one person who can master all 4 elements.
Only the Avatar, master of all 4 elements. But when the world needed him most, he vanished.
When the world needed the Avatar the most, he vanished.
Episode 1 shouldn't feel as rushed at the end as it does. It's roughly the same runtime as the 3 episodes it's adapting, so it's not that they didn't have the time to tell the story, it's that they misused the time they had. They add in all this stuff that probably would have been better if it was just kept a mystery. They waste so much time repeating the same information just from different sources, and they replace interesting character development moments with vague mumbo-jumbo.
Bending is about energy and balance. By feeling the energy around you, you can find balance. By finding balance, you can feel the energy.
Aang, what the fuck are you talking about? Remember, energy is balance, which is energy, which is balance. Whoa, thanks, Aang. I'm water bending now. And I'm internet bending. Ooh. Sorry about that. This portion of the video is sponsored by Opera, the faster, safer, and smarter way to browse the web. If you've ever wondered why it takes me so long to make videos, it's because most of my job is writing, and while I'm writing, I like to have 97 different tabs open for every thought that pops into my head. A really cool thing I can do on Opera is sort my tabs into islands, so when I want to shift gears away from my 25-minute Amazon journey and back into working, I can just click one button, hide all of that, and now I'm not thinking about it anymore. It's a super helpful tool for visually organizing my time online. Opera has a free ad blocker built into the browser that you can toggle on and off with one click, which is great for those websites that yell at you when you have one and you need to quickly pretend that you don't. There's a built-in music player on the sidebar that works with all the big streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music. And it's great for when I'm working on my laptop and don't have a second monitor. I don't need to open a separate window just to change a song. You can also use the sidebar to go on Messenger apps or scroll through social media. And I think it's really cool that when I'm watching a YouTube video, it'll automatically move it to the corner of the screen when I open up a new tab. If I'm not multitasking at all times, then what is even the point of having internet access? Upgrade the way you browse the web. Download Opera for free using my link in the description. Thank you to Opera for sponsoring today's video. Now, before I continue just getting mad about every single aspect of this show, I do want to answer a more general question of like, what should we expect out of an adaptation? Because it may sound like I'm trying to say that this should have been a one-to-one recreation of the original show, when that is not the case. You can and should be able to change things. Why even bother spending all this money to make something that looks worse if it's going to be exactly the same? But those changes need to enhance the story. They can't be at odds with the spirit of the show or fundamentally change a character. So that brings me to episode 2. In the months leading up to the show's release, I kept seeing aggregated quotes about it from cast members, from the creators, and every time I did, it made me a little bit less optimistic about what we were going to get. One of those quotes was how the creators of the show very nobly got rid of the sexism that Sokka had a little bit of at the beginning of the cartoon. Because that was 2005, and we're a lot smarter now. Obviously, I don't need to tell you that there are tons of movies and TV shows from 20 years ago that absolutely have not aged well. But I think you're missing the point if you try to lump this show in with those. Sokka is an overconfident but misguided teenage boy who grew up isolated from the rest of the world, where he has been tasked with being the sole leader and protector of his entire village. As a result, he begins the show with a pretty dated sense of what men and women should be expected to do. He's constantly making belittling remarks to his sister, he meets the warriors on Kyoshi Island, and is relieved to see that they're just girls. Here's the thing though, the show is not glorifying his behavior. In fact, they're very much doing the opposite. Because you know what happens right after he says these things? He is immediately proven wrong. He underestimates Suki and the rest of the Kyoshi warriors, and they kick his ass. He's so embarrassed by this that he comes back with his tail between his legs and apologizes and begs to learn from them. It is meant to be a humiliating and humbling experience for him, one that also props up the women around him. It's vindicating for Katara, who's had to deal with this bullshit her whole life, and it establishes Suki as a badass. It's not unchecked. It's not something that the showrunners are celebrating. His misogyny is immediately met with repercussions. Are we really at a point where we can't even show a character on TV doing something morally disagreeable? Can audiences truly not understand the difference between a real-life human being expressing a shitty belief and that belief being portrayed in a piece of fiction? And look, I'm not here to die on the hill that you gotta keep the misogyny in the show, man. It was so funny. Like, there's other ways for the writers to show Sokka having a flaw that Suki can use to get a leg up on him. So what do they do instead? She walks in on him taking a bath and just fucking stands there staring at him with googly eyes. And then in their training scene together, they have to stop every 10 seconds because of all the sexual tension.
Avoid it. We've avoided a lot of things by living the way we do.
Jesus Christ. Do you see the point that I'm trying to make here? Instead of Suki being this cool and confident intellectual superior to Sokka, who always has the upper hand on him and is always able to shut him down whenever he tries to pull some shit, they decided to just make her so horny, she can't function. I gotta say, it's a little ironic that in an attempt to remove sexism from the show, they actually took a more sexist approach to designing her character. They stripped away everything that made her who she was, made her absolutely obsess over Sokka, who doesn't do anything to earn it, and then they have the nerve to act morally superior to the original writers. Also, does anyone in this village respect privacy? Shaking my damn head. On the topic of absolutely destroying strong female characters, let's talk about Katara. Her entire arc in the show is just, man, I'm not so good at bending. And then Aang is like, yeah, you are. And she's like, huh, you're right. I'm actually the best. She is not given any personality whatsoever. Her entire existence is tied to her waterbending ability, which is not what made her such a great character in the cartoon. Instead of showing how fiery and passionate Katara can be, and how her optimism sometimes backfires because the world they're living in is so beaten down, and how she can be a great leader and friend to everyone around her, not just because she's strong, but because she's empathetic and brings out the best in people. They just made her real good at fighting. And that's it.
You are a waterbender. That is who you have always been and always will be.
And she doesn't even need any help because she's so talented. Always has been, in fact.
I wasn't even really trying.
It's just not an interesting choice when compared to how the original show handled her growth. They had this great episode early on where Katara gets jealous of Aang because he's the Avatar and everything just comes so easily to him. But what this showed about her character is that she desperately wants to be good at waterbending, will go to great lengths to be able to do it, and has to work twice as hard as Aang. So when we get to the end of the season and she does surpass him in skill, we know it's because she worked really hard to get there. And that is more admirable than her just being handed this power. I mean, literally handed. Gran just gives her this scroll that in the original show, she went to great lengths to steal. For Katara, her main motivation in season 1 is to get to the Northern Water Tribe so she can find someone to teach her waterbending, something she's always wanted but has never had access to because she's always been the only waterbender in her tribe. And then they finally get to the North Pole, and I guess she doesn't actually need that because instead of asking Paku to train them, she begs him to let her fight. First of all, why are you asking permission? He's not gonna stop you. Just go do it. What is he gonna follow you around and tie your hands behind your back because you're trying to fight the fire? Just go fucking do it. But the point they're trying to make is that she's so powerful, she doesn't even need someone to teach her. Okay. Well, then why didn't she just go defeat the Fire Lord herself? She has this line at one point where she's like, we need you, Aang. I need you. No, you don't. You don't seem to really need anyone. The fact that everything comes so easily to her makes it so there's no payoff at the end. It makes this line...
You found a master, haven't you?
You're looking at her.
Kinda dumb, actually. All you did was read one scroll that your grandma gave you, and now you're a waterbending master? What a journey, huh? This story will be told for generations. They gave her zero depth in this show, and it's really frustrating. You may notice while watching this show that Netflix seems to have a fear of giving any of the main characters an unlikable trait. God forbid any of these children ever make a mistake or have a redemption arc. They need to start the show already perfect. That is such a boring way to write your characters. It's also a huge disservice to your actors by giving them nothing to work with. One of the foremost characteristics of Aang early on in the show is that he's still just a kid. He's a 12-year-old boy who has been given this overwhelming responsibility of saving the world. It's something that understandably scares the shit out of him, so much so that he runs away. That's how he ends up in the iceberg for 100 years. It's the inciting incident of the entire show. That guilt follows him, and it's a really important part of his growth. But Netflix seemed to be so concerned with having their main character make an incorrect decision that they changed the reason for him flying out into the middle of a storm to him just going for a stroll.
You're right. Just needs to go up where things always make more sense.
I gotta go up where things make more sense. The ground ain't so good for thinking. Don't worry, guys, it was just an accident. He wasn't avoiding responsibility because he's a child who wasn't ready for it yet. He was just getting some fresh air. in the middle of a lightning storm. Okay, great. So instead of him showing signs of immaturity, he's actually just an idiot. Another thing about Aang still being a kid is that he's not always focused on the task at hand. That's something he has to grow into. This is his very first line in the original show.
Will you go penguin sledding with me?
He's constantly getting distracted and wanting to go on side quests because he's a little boy. Of course, it's not like that the whole show, but it gives him a starting point, so by the end, you can see how much he's matured. Netflix Aang don't got a whimsical bone in his body. He is extremely serious and solely focused on getting from point A to point B. He's not written like a child. He's already the season 3 version of Aang. Netflix, if you want your characters to be able to grow, they need to have a place to grow from. Yeah, he takes the time to deliver his little soliloquies about how much he yearns to goof, but those are just words. We never actually see him do those things. It also makes it so his whole interaction with Boomy makes no sense. Boomy's like, there's no time for fun, Aang. You've got to go save the world. It's like, yeah, he knows that. He's already very good at not having any fun. This is one of the worst written arcs in the entire show because everything they say contradicts what they're doing. Boomy tells him to quit playing games and go do your job as the Avatar. Meanwhile, he's the one holding him hostage, giving him games to play. Aang wants to leave the entire time. Just let him go and he'll do the things you're asking him to. Aang's immaturity also lends really well to the narrative shift that happens in the first season, because for a long time he's like, yeah, I gotta save the world eventually, but first let's go here and fuck around here for a little bit. And then we get to episode 8 and the former Avatar is like, no dude, you actually have to defeat the Fire Lord by the end of the summer, because this comet is gonna come, and if you don't do it before that, he's gonna be invincible.
Mastering the elements takes years of discipline and practice. But if the world is to survive, you must do it by summer's end.
It's this great shift in momentum that adds even more stakes to the equation. It puts a timer on everything. They kind of do that in this one. They give him a vision of the North Pole being attacked, but that doesn't do anything to address the overarching goal of having to learn and master all 3 of the elements. Something that, small note here, he doesn't do any of the entire season. They set that up as one of the main goals in the original first season, and we see a bunch of examples of Aang learning waterbending and before having it pay off in the finale. Aang doesn't waterbend once in this version. He's so behind it's actually stressing me out.
It would have been wise to have focused on your training during your journey.
I swear to God, if they start season 2 and Aang is already very good at waterbending, implying that there was a bunch of progress that happened off screen, I'm gonna lose my mind. And don't try to tell me that I already have. This is me on a good day. As you watch more of the show, it makes a lot of the additions more frustrating because everything has a cost. If you have to cut out character development moments so you have the space to show a bunch of airbenders getting set on fire, you might want to take a step back and reconsider your priorities. It starts to become a little obvious why the creators of the original show left this project almost 4 years ago over creative differences. According to them, they were promised that they would be given the job of guiding the show in the right direction, and they were lied to. Dude, I'm so tired of these dumbass executives who make $2 million every second getting involved in things that they have no knowledge in. Why even hire the original creators of the show if you're just gonna ignore their input and act like you know their story better than they do? Why the concern over making characters unlikable when that was never a problem to begin with? Everybody loved Katara and Sokka and Aang, even with their imperfections. Imperfections are what make characters relatable. And it's like this was all supposed to be the problem with network TV. Streaming was supposed to be the solution to this. We're not going to micromanage and enforce a bunch of arbitrary rules. We're just going to trust the showrunners to do the job that we hired them to do. Yet somehow over the course of the past decade, we've just kind of reinvented cable. So, good job, everyone. I honestly wouldn't be surprised to learn that most of the issues with this version of Avatar are the result of meddling from people who should have just stayed the hell away, because there is potential here. Underneath all of the baffling decisions are the bones of what could have and could still be a much better series. For starters, I think they did a fantastic job with the casting. I imagine it's way harder to cast for live action than animated, because not only do they have to have the perfect voice, but they also need to look the part and be the right right age, and in this case, be able to do martial arts. The fact that they're able to check so many boxes with these kids is impressive. I just hope that going forward, they get better material to work with. The only character they consistently write well for is Zuko. This guy's got it. He totally nails the intimidating on the outside, but a little sensitive on the inside. And between him, Iroh, Zhao, Lieutenant Chi, I think almost all of the Fire Nation scenes were more cohesive and well written than anything that the rest of the cast was forced to do. Going back to my point that you can and should be able to make changes in an adaptation if they make sense, I thought a couple of the additions they made to Zuko's character worked perfectly. One, there's the reveal that the crew Zuko protected from being sacrificed in the meeting that led to his banishment is actually the same crew that he's been commanding for the past 3 years since then. So I thought that was a really cool way of tying everything together. It makes so much sense that I was actually surprised when I went back and rewatched season 1 of the animated series and realized they didn't do that originally. I also like the scenes they added with him and Iroh, like the flashback to Iroh's son's funeral where we see Zuko give him his condolences as well as a gift to remember his son by. They have another moment like that at the end of this episode where Zuko is about to set off on his never-ending quest to find the Avatar, and Iroh's like, hey, mind if I come along? And Zuko's pretty resistant to the idea, but then Iroh says this.
Everything I need is on this boat.
It's a very sweet moment, especially with the little nod they do to Leaves from the Vine, a famously sad episode from season 2. But I do think it's worth pointing out that this only works for the people who have already seen the entire animated series. This only has the emotional weight that it does if you're going into this show with 30 hours of context. Keep in mind, this is episode 4 of the live action. If this is your first exposure to these characters, this moment is not going to have nearly the same significance to you. It's nice, but it feels a little premature. Netflix Avatar has an instant gratification problem where they don't want to set anything up that can be paid off later. They just want that payoff now. And I get that some of that was probably due to the uncertainty over whether they would even get a season 2 and 3. So they were trying to be as impactful as they can with this first season, but it's only going to make their job harder in the future. Like, where do you even go with some of these characters? There was one big change with Zuko that feels emblematic of the entire philosophy they approached this show with. There's an episode in season 1 of the cartoon called The Storm, where we see these juxtaposed flashbacks of Aang and Zuko's past, and we learn about the moments that sent them on the trajectories they're now on. For Aang, it's running away from home, and for Zuko, it's getting banished from home. He speaks out of turn in a war meeting and disrespects everyone in the room by saying they should come up with a better plan. Ozai does not appreciate this, and he tells Zuko that he's going to have to do an Agni Kai, aka a firebending duel. But when Zuko shows up, he is shocked to find out that it's not the general he's supposed to fight, it's his own dad. Zuko begs not to have to fight him. In fact, he outright refuses, but this only makes Ozai more angry. Zuko has now disrespected him twice, so he burns his face and tells him he cannot come back home until he finds the Avatar. The Netflix version plays out pretty similarly, but with one major difference. This time, Zuko fights back. Because why would we keep one of the most important moments of the show when we'd be missing out on an awesome fight scene? Look at all the fire! Zuko refusing to fight his dad was the best way to show us who he is. How, unlike his father, he's not willing to hurt the people he loves. Netflix kind of respected that idea. I mean, Zuko does refuse to fight for a few seconds, and he does eventually get burned by his uncaring father. The problem is you can't justify Zuko getting banished forever because he lost a fight to the world's most powerful firebender. That wouldn't make any sense. So they had to add in another wrinkle to make sense of their first wrinkle, which is that Zuko actually could have won, he just chose not to. And that's where this scene completely loses me. Ozai is supposed to be the ultimate threat, the world's most feared villain, looming over every second of Aang's journey. And you're telling me some random 13-year-old kid could beat him in a fight? What are we doing here? I also just think it's better for Zuko's arc if he doesn't stand up to his dad yet, because then it will mean way more when he eventually does. What this decision showed to me is that the creators of knockoff Avatar will always choose flash over substance. If we have to fundamentally change 2 important characters so we can get 1 extra minute of pyrotechnics, you bet we're gonna be doing that. Because this is a show for grown-ups. Tell me again why the show made for grown-ups, Netflix's Game of Thrones, had to dumb down its writing. Every line of dialogue is so on the nose.
This was my home. And Now it's gone.
They always choose the simplest way to convey a point.
But the one thing I do know is I'm the Avatar. And this is just the beginning.
Oh, I get it. Because he's the Avatar, and this is the end of episode 1. Compare these two lines that serve the same function, and tell me which of these shows is made for babies.
You will learn respect, and suffering will be your teacher.
Compassion is a sign of weakness.
Compassion is a sign of weakness.
Compassion. It was weakness.
The script feels like a first draft filled with a bunch of placeholders that just ended up holding that place forever. I think the moment that made me realize, oh, they truly don't give a shit about what they're doing here, is when they reused the same twist 3 times. So just like in the original, Zuko objects to the Fire Nation's plan to attack one place as a diversion so they can actually attack somewhere else. But then in the first episode, they added in this thing where the Fire Nation tricks the Earth Kingdom into thinking they're going to attack one place as a diversion so they could actually attack somewhere else. And then in the finale, it's revealed that the whole fight that just took place was, get this, a diversion so they could actually attack somewhere else. How is the rest of the world not catching on by now? They only have one strategy.
The entire world will turn their attention to the Earthbenders.
A masterful ruse, Your Highness.
With the enemy's firepower focused on that diversion, we can launch pinning attacks here.
A masterful ruse, Your Highness.
Why attack the North at all?
Distraction. The North was never the true target. A masterful ruse, Your Highness.
Not only is that such lazy writing, but the last one doesn't even make sense. They attacked the Northern Water Tribe to distract them from Omashu, but both of those sieges happened over the course of one day. Even if they somehow knew it was happening because they got like an email about it, they still couldn't have gotten there in time to help. And it's not like the Earth Kingdom was distracted from Omashu because they were busy helping the Waterbenders. They weren't there. These two things have nothing to do with each other. This wasn't a diversion. You just did 2 attacks at the same time and one of them worked and one of them didn't. Also, did they not say in episode 4 that they knew Omashu was going to be attacked?
Fire Nation forces are on the move. They'll be here by dawn.
Why write in that they knew it was going to happen if you're going to make them so unprepared for it?
You're under attack?
We will be, but we will be ready.
Is anyone in the writing room keeping track of things that they've said? I know some people are going to watch this video and accuse me of just being a hater, but like, I didn't want to not like this show. Believe it or not, it's way more fun for me to like stuff than it is to not like stuff. I will root for success for this show and everyone involved. I got genuinely emotional watching the cast react to the news that they got picked up for 2 more seasons, and I didn't even like the first one. I'm just happy for them that they get to keep working on this. I think there's a lot of room to grow, and I'm happy that they're being given the opportunity to try and do that. I hope that the Netflix corporate overlords who pushed for all the changes that people are complaining about can listen to the criticism and realize that they're only making things worse by intervening. I don't think they're going to do that, but I will choose to be blindly optimistic until proven otherwise. At the end of the day, I would rather this show exist than not at all. It didn't cost me $100 million to make. All I had to do was watch it. Avatar is one of my favorite shows of all time, and even if the best thing about this adaptation is that it's convinced people to go back and discover the original series for the first time, I'll take it. And if you are one of those people, welcome. Sorry I spoiled the first 20 episodes, but a lot more stuff happens after that. Season 2 is where everything goes up another level. They haven't even introduced Toph yet. They replace Admiral Zhao with Azula, and that's a huge upgrade. It gets so fucking good, man. If you haven't seen it yet, just go watch it. What are you waiting for this video to end? It already did.